In this video, I want to talk to you guys about your responsibility as gun owners. So before you even get into the pew-pew and all the fun stuff, trying to be John Wick with one of these things, you need to understand your responsibility. And this is something that I don't see very many people covering, and the consequences of those responsibilities being violated. So first off, let's talk about your responsibility. So your responsibility is to be completely aware of yourself and others. And what that means is you need to be aware of what you're doing and where you are and where other people are in relation to you and how your body is behaving. Because if you have a gun in this hand, you need to be aware of how you are pointing it. Because guess what? These things don't get up and do things on their own. They don't wake up at 9 o'clock and, make you coffee in the morning. You need to do that yourself. And then it's you who picks this thing up, and you who is either responsible or negligent in your responsibility to basically control this in a responsible manner, in a safe manner. So I'm not going to be doing like demonstrations on how to clear and load and unload this thing. I will put links in the description on stuff like that, so check those out. But this is just kind of a brief on what you've gotten yourself into. So welcome to the gun community, as it's called. So your responsibility is total awareness 100% of the time when you have one of these. So first thing to be aware of is the condition of your firearm. Again, there will be a link in the description on how to check the condition. So the only way to be completely 100% sure of the condition of your firearm is to check it. There are various ways to do that, and again, link in the description if you want to see how to do it and follow along safely. So next one is you need to be aware that you need to be safe in your handling of the firearm. That's basically in how you pick it up, how you carry it, and what you were doing with it while you're moving, etc. So this is typically, they have guidelines basically in gun safety rules. You have 5 gun safety rules. You can have 4 or whatever. Sometimes they try to simplify it. Sometimes they try to create a million, whatever. But I'll just go by the 5 that I've heard or had to live by when I was in the Marine Corps. So first one's first is treat every weapon as if it was loaded. Notice my finger straighten off the trigger, and this one has nothing in it. I can pull the trigger and it's not going to go off because there's no ammunition in it. However, my finger is still straightened off the trigger. I'm still pointing it in a safe direction where I know there's nothing that is going to be hurt if this thing were to go off. So even though it is unloaded, I'm still respecting this firearm. I am still treating it as if it could be loaded and it could go off if I am negligent and I pull the trigger. So that is your responsibility. 100% of the time you treat it like that. As soon as you think that you're comfortable, oh, it's unloaded, I'm just going to rest my finger on the trigger, that's when you have a negligent discharge, and that's when you have consequences, which we will talk about. So anyways, that's the first rule. Treat every weapon as if it was loaded. Then the next one, never point your weapon at anything not intend to shoot. So there's going to be variations. There's others that are like, don't point it at anything you don't intend to destroy. Well, let me put it into perspective for you. If I hang this out in an open field or something like that, and I'm shooting at this flag, if I shoot at this 8 times, is this flag destroyed? No. No, it's damaged, but it's not destroyed. So I don't like this whole destroy thing because it makes it sound like this thing's a phaser or something from Star Trek. It's not. It'll damage things, including people, animals, whatever. It doesn't guarantee destruction or loss of life. That is on you to basically learn how to properly use it. But if this thing goes off or shoots a hole in my floor, it's not a destroyed floor. It's damaged. So we'll just leave it at never point your weapon at anything not intend to shoot. Now that can be very hard since I'm in my own house, and anywhere I point, I don't want to put holes in anything. But then we kind of got to prioritize. Let's not point at people. Let's not point at animals. Let's not point at our $5,000 TVs that some of you guys probably have, or whatever. So no matter how much you may not like a certain person, you never point a gun at them. Not even playfully, even if it's unloaded. At all times, you're not pointing this at yourself even as a joke, like, oh, I've had a rough day, let's go ahead and point this at ourselves. That is not a joke, that is not funny, that is highly irresponsible. So I see this a lot at gun shops too. People just think it's funny to point guns at each other because the guns are unloaded. Oh, it's fine. No, it's not. 100% of the time, you never point your weapon at anything you not intend to shoot. So, next one is keep your finger straight off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Now, this one is a big thing because of the flinch reflex. And basically when you get scared, you flinch, right? Well, this also just 100% guarantees that you're away from that trigger and you can't do anything stupid. That's one of the biggest reasons why you have negligent discharges or people being hurt unintentionally. It's because of negligence with this right here. So the trigger is not something that your finger rests on. It is not a rest. It is a means by which to actuate this firearm or activate it and get it to do its job. If it's not doing its job, then don't be sitting there and having your finger on the trigger. It's the same thing with this knife. I'm not using this knife right now. So it's basically the same as me having my finger straighten off the trigger, in my mind. Now, this could be, this is ready to use, and until I put it away, it's basically armed, I guess you could say, at least in the UK. So this could be the representative of me having my finger on the trigger. Unless I'm ready to use it, why am I pulling this out and, flipping it open? Okay, it's the same thing to me. So anyways, with that said, we'll go on to the next one. Keep your weapon on safe until you intend to fire. This does not have a safety. This has a manual safety. This has a trigger safety. And basically, you have to pull the trigger in a certain way. Pretty easy to deactivate, but basically you have to intentionally pull the trigger for it to go off. Now, it can get snagged. That's one of the downsides of not having a manual safety, is it can get snagged. However, with experience and competency and awareness, you're not really going to have to worry about this all that much. So that's getting into the weeds of conversation outside of the parameters of this video, so I will leave it at that. So, with that said, that's as simple as it is. If you have a manual safety, you keep it on until you are intending to fire it. That's where the words actually come in handy, is using specific words that actually mean something. Intention. You have the intention of shooting it. If you don't have an intention of shooting it, why is your safety on? Or why is your safety off? It should be on if you do not intend to fire the weapon. So I understand there's certain firearms, like 1911 style firearms, where the safety has to be taken off in order to, clear it. That's just the name of the game with that one. You can't really help with that one. But anyways, with that said, we'll go ahead and move on. So the last one is know your target and what lies beyond. And there's variations of this: know your target and what lies to the left and right and in between, behind, whatever. They get into the weeds and all this verbiage and crap. But the basic point is know your target and, what's around it. So a scenario for you, if a police officer is shooting at an active shooter, as in recent history has needed to happen, that officer has to be aware of not only that target, but he needs to be aware, or the active shooter, he needs to also be aware of what's behind the active shooter if a bullet were to go through or he were to miss. He also needs to know if there's something in front, like, is he taking a hostage? He might not be able to take a shot if he can't guarantee that he's not going to hurt that hostage. Or what if there's people running? He needs to be aware, he or she needs to be aware of what's to the left and right and the movement that's going on, because if they pull that trigger and somebody is coming by right in time and they take the bullet, there's going to be consequences for that. You can't just have good intentions. You actually have to 100% guarantee that your actions are clear and that you actually get the results you're intending to get. That's the added responsibility you have with a firearm. And that goes into responsible gun handling. 100% of the time awareness for 100% guaranteed and verified, outcomes, such as No negligent discharges. This thing not going off without you actually intending for it to go off. So now that we've covered that, let's go ahead and talk about consequences. So if this thing were to go off by your negligence of the trigger being snagged or you pulling it, there are consequences. So your lack of awareness of things snagging when you're putting it in a purse, into a holster, or something like that, your failure to be aware of it can cause damage to property and damage to people. It can even cause death. That will immediately land you in legal jeopardy. And so if you live in an apartment and your firearm goes off, pretty much anywhere, when somebody finds out, because they will, you're going to have to, number one, foot the bill, and you're probably also going to have to pay a bill as far as, jail time and court time and stuff like that. And you'll most likely lose your right to this implement. That's just kind of how it goes, especially in the environment we have it now. I know you probably bought a firearm because you're wanting to defend your life and you're finally realizing that it is on you. You can't have the government taking care of you all the time. However, Big Brother is going to come down on you with a heavy fist to punish you for being negligent. This is why 100% of the time, whether it's loaded or unloaded, we're constantly practicing good, safe handling and good awareness of this firearm, the condition of the firearm, and good, safe handling at all times. So don't be a statistic. Do not be a liability to yourself, your loved ones, or the community. That's the community around you and the gun community. So take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of other people. Be a good role model for society. Don't become a statistic where that is going to fuel another politician basically saying we should not have the right to defend ourselves. We should only rely on government. That is hazardous, and history has always shown that. And it is very evident now. So, with that being said, I appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and go into the description below and check out those links and seek professional training. Do it. It's definitely beneficial, and it's a controlled environment where you can actually practice these, with a well-trained crew to monitor your activities so you know you're doing the right thing. So seek it out. It's a great investment, and it's well worth your investment is basically what I'm trying to say. So with all that said, I appreciate you guys watching, and you guys have a good one.